Hello students, welcome to our third lecture on module 4 in which we will talk about universality of scale-free property across the networks. We will also talk about average distances in scale-free networks, and finally we'll look into the various regimes exhibited by the networks that possess scale-free properties. So let us begin with the universality. In our first couple of videos, we talked about World Wide Web, where we have some web pages which are connected to each other by some URL. And based on that particular URLs that are embedded into each web page, we constructed the network of www. And when we analyzed it, we realized that it has hubs. Its degree distribution when plotted on log scale, so if this is pk on log scale and this is k, we see a straight line with some slope gamma, and gamma was around 2.46 or between 2 and 3. So that means that www satisfied all the criteria to be called as a scale free network with hubs. On the other hand, if you look at the network which we call as the internet, now internet is very different from www, because where www refers to the linkages between web pages or documents on the web, internet refers to the physical connections, and these physical connections would have significant cost involved. For example, if you want to access a web page somewhere located in San Francisco, that is, you want to log in into Facebook with headquarters in San Francisco or or California, I would say, what you would do, you would just jump to the internet, you would just jump to the web and search for Facebook and connect to it. However, when we talk about internet, we are talking about laying physical networks of routers, optic fibers and such, and hence the cost involved would be very high, and distance would be one of the prohibitive factors that would intuitively limit us to go beyond certain geographical regions. However, a company, an organization named CAIDA, CAIDA, located in based in University of California, plotted this picture of the internet at the beginning of 21st century, and what they noticed is that even the internet, which is structurally very different from World Wide Web, exhibits similar properties of hubs, where hubs are certain nodes which have exceptionally high degrees, and there are not only one or two hubs, there are multiple hubs that you can see here, which I just circle, and they are connected to another small degree nodes which look like the periphery of this dendrite or end of this tree. So the point here is that two networks which are essentially different in their structure, they exhibit this universal presence of hubs, and hence we say that the scale free property generalize beyond and has a universal characteristic. Later on, we would learn that this scale-free property also extends to protein-protein interaction network. It also extends to Indian Railways network. It also extends to US National Airspace Airport network. It also extends to collaboration network, and to some extent to social interaction networks. So all these networks which appear so distinct from each other, they all are bounded by hubs. They have similar signatures in their degree distribution, which is of the form pk is proportional to k to the power minus gamma, and many of these also possess ultra small world properties, and we will talk about what this ultra small world would mean in the context of networks. But before we go there, let us try to look into how do we know that given a network it is a scale free. So the easiest diagnostic is to look into the degree distribution. So you would have k, you, and here you would have pk, and if you look at the degree distribution of a random graph on on a linear scale, you would see that since it is following a Poisson distribution, it would be something like this, where most of the values are concentrated around the mean, and the standard deviation of this particular distribution would be k raised to power 1 by 2. But what we observe in the case of networks that follow power law, they exhibit a typical elbow-shaped behavior when plotted on a linear scale. That is, we would expect large number of nodes with smaller degrees and a few hubs which have exceptionally high degree away from the mean. However, this is not convincing. If you just see at the red curve, there is no signature of the behavior of pk is proportional to k to the power minus gamma. The easiest way to discover this behavior is that instead of using linear scale, we will plot the similar degree distribution or the same degree distribution, not even similar, same degree distribution on log scale. So this would be our log scale, this would be our log scale, and we would see a typical straight line with slope equal to gamma, and hence we can say that this particular network exhibits a scale free behavior given that it is following a power law. Now another question arises: do all real world systems follow ideal power law? What we just discussed is that there would be a straight line behavior and our life is sorted out. However, that is not the case. Many real world systems, they exhibit lower degree cutoffs as well as higher degree saturations. That is, if we look into the degree distribution of real world systems on log scale, so let us say this is our pk, this is k, while our ideal behavior would be a straight line like this, and these are our various degree various values of k with certain probability occurring, we notice that in real world systems we have some plateau at the beginning, then we have a behavior close to a real world system, and then we have an upper degree cutoff or higher degree saturation where we again see a plateau. We will learn about this initial cutoffs when we go into chapter 6 or module 6 on evolving networks. However, a very good physical explanation exists for this kind of appearance of plateau, which is often governed by the physical constraints on hubs. Now consider an airport network. So in airport network, if you imagine a hub which is having a large number of connections, still there would be some physical constraints on the network which is of finite size, which would inhibit that k to be infinitely large, and hence we would expect that after certain point it is not possible to have a degree or a realistic degree in a real world system. That is why most of these real world systems would deviate from power law, and they will only follow power law in certain range between lower and upper degree cutoffs. Now we will stop this discussion about cutoffs, how to fit power law, but we will come back and do a focused hands-on session just on looking into these aspects of power law, because when we will go into that we will realize that just plotting power law for real world systems may require some deeper insights, and during that process we will look into NetworkX, then another library called as power law which would help us plot these power law, and third powerful technique which we call as log binning, which is very simple yet effective to get a clear understanding of this power law behavior. But we will hold on these topics and come back when as we progress ahead after chapter 5, where we would learn how to really generate these networks that follow scale free behavior on our computers. Now let us come to ultra small property, that what this ultra small property means in the context of scale free networks. Now the presence of hubs in scale free networks, they raise an interesting question that do these hubs affect the small world property? Do they make our world even smaller? If you recall, we mentioned that in small world, our average distances in a network would scale in proportional to log of n. However, if our world is not small world, our average distances would be some n to the power p, where p is and we would where p is 1 by 2, 1 by 3, 1 by p, 1 by n, depending upon the lattice structure of our network. But the point here is you clearly see that the magnitude of scaling would be significantly different. But how these hubs would reduce? Intuitively, if you think about an airport network, if you have hubs like Dubai or Frankfurt, then you would expect that if you want to go from New Delhi to the United States, you would go to hub, and from that hub you will take another flight, and within limited number of jumps or hops you would reach into the another country. That means they should shrink the world further. So the role of hub should be further shrinking of distances, and this is precisely the case. Through the rigorous mathematical analysis, Cohen and Havlin in their 2003 research article actually showed that when gamma is between 2 and 3, the distances shrink because during this point hubs begin to emerge, and this is typically scaled as log n. Further, it was shown that when gamma is greater than 3, we again get back into the small world where distances scale in proportion to log of n. Gamma equal to 3 is a transition point between ultra small world and small world. For gamma equal to 3, you would see this scaling as log n upon log n. And when gamma is less than 2, and we will later call this particular regime as, and when gamma is equal to 2, and later on we will call this regime as anomalous regime. In that case, our distances would be independent of n. And this also gives rise to the interesting discussion about what are the various regimes that are exhibited by networks that have scale free property. Another question arises, why we are not talking about gamma less than 2? Because these kind of networks do not exist in real world, and when we will go to generation models in our next video, we will talk about why networks with gamma less than 2 are hard to find in a real world setup. Now the mathematical proof of this ultra small world is beyond the scope of our network science introductory network science class, but I will post in description the exact mathematics that how this relationship is derived, and if somebody is interested, please feel free to go through that particular research article. Now let us come to this discussions around the scale free regimes or regimes in our networks that follow power law. To do that, we will use two fundamental results that we derived before. So let us recall that in case of networks with power law property, our K max scales in proportion to n upon gamma minus 1. Also, we learned that moments or K, they are proportional to K max raised to power n minus gamma plus 1, where n is the nth moment under consideration. Now when we have gamma equal to 2, gamma between 2 and 3, and gamma greater than 3, let's try to understand what happens with these various properties. So when gamma is equal to 2, we see that our K max becomes proportional to n, because gamma would be equal to 2 and hence this is just n. So that would mean that when gamma is equal to 2, the degree of the node which has the largest number of connections would grow in proportion to number of nodes that are present in the network, and hence you would expect this hub would tend to connect to everybody in that particular network, giving rise to something called as hub and spoke characteristics in network. On the other hand, when gamma is less than 2, we learned that our kn is proportional to k max raised to power n minus gamma plus 1. And when we talk about the first moment, which is approximated by mean, we can say that k is proportional to k max raised to power a number which is greater than 0 or positive, and our k square is also greater than k max, is our k square is also proportional to k max raised to power a number greater than 0, which tells us that both k and k square would diverge when gamma is less than 2, and we say that this regime as anomalous regime. And we would not find many real world systems exhibiting gamma less than 2. Now let's move our discussion to our next regime, which is what happens when gamma is between 2 and 3, and we call this regime as a scale free regime. And we say that in this particular portion or regime, many of the properties of scale free networks that we observe around us can be explained. To understand that, again, if we look into K max, we see that if gamma is greater than 2, our K max would be scaling at much lesser scale. Gamma is equal to 2. That means this hub and spoke mechanism would be fragmented into multiple hubs where they are connected to smaller nodes, they may be connected, and so on, resulting in emergence of hubs or multiple hubs in scale free networks. And we have already spoken a lot that what this hubs would mean in the context of our networks. Moreover, the market share of largest hub, which can be quantified by kmax upon n, it would also decrease, as now kmax upon n would be proportional to n raised to power gamma minus 1 upon n, and if we solve it, you would see that this expression comes out to be n minus gamma minus 2 upon gamma minus 1. And if this gamma is greater than 2 and less than 3, this particular term would be negative, denominator is going to be positive, and hence we would see that our kmax upon n would keep on decreasing as our network size increases, again highlighting that there may be a presence of multiple hubs. And this is the most critical regime that we will analyze when we go to BA models, when we go to BB models, or Barabashi-Bianconi models. And we will also look into the network robustness for networks that are in the regime with gamma equal to 2 and 3. Now let us look into the third case. What happens when gamma is between 2 and 3? Now in this case, if you look at first moment, which is proportional to k max raised to power n minus gamma plus 1, this particular number becomes less than 0. Similarly for n equal to 1. Similarly for k square, k max raised to power, let us say, so third regime is gamma greater than 3, sorry. So this would become, let us say, 3.5 minus gamma plus 1, 2 minus 3.5 plus 1. Again, this would be a number less than 0, and hence k square again would be a would again converge or would be finite. Hence, in this regime, both first moment and second moment are finite. That would mean that the probability or possibility to find a node with exceptionally high degree in comparison to mean again would vanish. We already learned that when gamma is greater than 3, our average distances scale in the proportion of log n. Our moments again converge or become finite, and hence when for in this regime our networks became indistinguishable. You cannot distinguish these networks from random networks, and we call that this is a small world regime. Also, when we talk about some real world systems, if we want to understand or see a typical power law behavior, we should expect that K max is almost 100 to 1000 times greater than K minim. And if you look at, we know that in case of such networks, our K max is equal to K min times n upon gamma minus 1. After rearranging, we can write n as K max upon K min raised to power gamma minus 1. And we know that for most of the real world systems, K min is typically 0 or 1. So if we put it 0, this particular term would become undefined. Hence we will say that, let us say that we have eliminated all isolated nodes and we are talking about nodes that have at least degree 1. So our n would be K max upon 1, and if gamma is, let us say, 5, so n number of nodes that we would need for a network which have K max of 100 would be of order of 10 to the power 8, and many real world systems that we see around us would have number of nodes much lesser than 10 to the power 8, and hence even if the system is exhibiting a power law behavior for such higher value of gamma, we may not be able to discover it, as we do not have enough number of nodes to satisfy this condition of difference between K minimum and K max. So to summarize, what we learned here is that gamma that we started our discussion with in pk equal to k raised to power minus gamma is a very important parameter to control the behavior of scale free networks, and by the virtue of this gamma we are able to see different regimes within scale free networks that we will try to summarize. That is, we would have anomalous regime, we will have scale free regime, and third would be random regime, which all would be governed by the values of gamma. So from 1 and 2 we would have gamma less than 2, and in this case our k would diverge, that is first moment would diverge as well as second moment would diverge. Our distances would be independent of n, or we can say that they would be constant. At gamma equal to 2 we see some transition, and our k max, they become proportional to n. Between 2 and 3 our k or first moment becomes finite, our second moment diverges. That's where we say that we can see some hubs which have disproportionately higher degrees as compared to the average degrees, and our distances shrink further from log n to log n, and this becomes ultra small world. Then we come at the critical point where gamma is equal to 3 and average distances becomes log n upon log n, and beyond this our average distances again scale up as log n upon log k, what we observed in the random networks, and hence this is called as random regime where k is finite and our k square is also finite, and hence our hubs cease to exist. But these are still part of the scale free family because our k max is proportional to 1 upon n upon 1 upon gamma minus 1, which is typically observed in the networks that exhibit power law. With this, we would conclude our discussions around ultra small world and various regimes, and in this next lecture we will talk about why anomalous regime is called anomalous and look into the generation models. Thank you.